Om Sai Ram. Shri Satchidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 26, Prevention of Epilepsy and Suicide and Stabilization of Faith at one's own Guru's feet. But before that, let us do the Namasmaran, followed by chapter number 26, and we will conclude chapter number 26 with the Aarti. Shri Satchidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Shri Sai Nathaya Namaha. 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 Om Sai Ram. Chapter number 26, Prevention of Epilepsy and Suicide and Stabilization of Faith at one's own Guru's feet. I bow down to Shri Ganesh. I bow down to Shri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Shri Sita Ramachandra. I bow down to Shri Sadguru Sainath. All objects of enjoyment relate to the elements and elementals. In fact, the entire universe is contained within the soul as a reflection of a city in a mirror. This confusion is on account of Maya, which is manifested. In reality, Maya has not manifested, it is forever present in the Absolute, but it is also in the world, bringing all movable and immovable objects into being. Whatever is seen in the mirror does not exist in it. Like visions seen in the dream appear very real, but on waking, all it's gone. When one is awakened, the dream world disappears. The joy of light of unity appears because of Sadhguru's significant words. The vibrating of the existence of the universe is really the support of that, not dependent on anything else. When the great soul, that is the Lord, becomes agreeably disposed, then only this realization is possible. Understand this nature of the soul to be the glow of self, having essential character, the nature of Sai. Then this world of elements of elementals is the manifestation of illusion, a mere sport. All this world of elements and elementals, right from the Brahman to a blade of grass, is all imaginary. It is this expanse of the world which is merely a creation of illusion. The serpent, the garland of flowers, the stick, the current are considered to be a rope due to the ignorance of their real nature. Similarly, their expanse of the universe has no support in the real nature. All this world that is perceived is the nature of illusion. This comes to an end on the knowing of the reality. That is, the time of awakening caused by the words of the Guru. Pondering over the meaning of the verbal form of Grinati, the third person singular. The Guru alone is able to explain at the time of giving instruction to the disciple. Therefore, let me pray to Baba. Please introvert my senses. Give me the discrimination and the ability to identify the transient from the eternal. Grant me to the gift of aestheticism. I am always an indiscriminating fool, obstructed by profound ignorance. My mind is always soaring on evil imagination, and it creates all these difficulties for me. See to it that I have unshakable faith in my Guru's words, which are irrefutable as the revelations of the Vedas. Make my mind like a mirror so that it can receive self knowledge. Moreover, Satguru Sainath make me fully understand this knowledge, because without experience, when one talks about it, it is mere prattle. Can that achieve the ultimate goal? Therefore, Baba, with your power, let me experience this knowledge myself, whereby I can easily attain liberation. Grant me these alms, I beg of you. Consequently, O Lord Satguru Sai, I offer my bodily pride to you. From now onwards, take care of me as there is no self with me. Take away my bodily consciousness so that I can feel neither pain nor pleasure. Control me so that I can act in accordance with your wish. Or you become my ego yourself and take over all doer and enjoyership. Let me not have anxiety on this account. Hail, hail to you, the one who has fulfilled all desires. Enjoin my love at your feet. O abode of auspiciousness, may this inconstant mind find complete peace at your feet. Who else but you can speak the words for our welfare, relieve us of your miseries, and bring us contentment. It was Shirdi's good fortune that Baba, you have arrived here. Later, you stayed on here and gave this place the status of a pilgrimage. Blessed is Shirdi's fortune that this merciful Sai made this place auspicious and adorned it in its own stay. You are the one to kindle me. You are the one who provokes my speech. So, who am I to sing your praises? You are the doer who gets things done. To be always in your company is itself our study of the Vedant. Listening to your life story daily is itself our reading of religious texts. Chanting your name without wasting a moment is itself equivalent to doing katha and kirtan. This itself is our regular meditation, and that is itself our satisfaction. We do not wish to have such happiness which causes us to turn our backs on worship. For could there be any bigger obstacle in attaining the ultimate goal? Let my tears of joy be the warm water to wash your feet. Let me besmear your body with sandal paste of pure love. Let me cover your body with clothes of true faith. May this puja from my heart propitiate you better than the outward ritualistic one and endue you with pleasure and happiness. Let us offer the 8 lotuses in the form of our 8 very pure sattvic emotions and the fruit in the form of our concentrated mind. Let us apply bukka of devotion to the forehead, tie the girdle of deep devotedness, and place our neck on your toes. Then let us enjoy the tender and wonderful celebration. Adorning him with the jewels of our love, let us wholeheartedly ward off the evil eye. Make a charmer with our 5 pranas and wave it before you ward off the heat. After concluding such blissful worship, let us do the eightfold obeisance, offer fragrance and oblations of water. In this manner we shall worship you, Sai Raja, for our own welfare. We remember and always chant Sai Samartha to attain the desired object, and with the same mantra also attain the ultimate goal and gratify our faith in you. In the last chapter, it is narrated how Sai Samartha, the cloud of mercy, gave instructions for the benefit of his devotees. Now, in this chapter, it shall be narrated how a devotee's faith was confirmed in his own Guru. Listen to this story. In the last chapter, the nectar like story of the devotee Pant was introduced. Listeners should listen to it attentively and clearly understand the true facts. How many kinds of experiences he gave, and how he put the collyrium of faith in the eyes, how he was firmly settled in the Guru's feet, and how his mind felt tranquil. Once a devotee named Pant went to Shirdi along with his friends to have Sai's darshan with a lot of effort. He was already graced and was attached to his own Guru. He was hesitated about going to Shirdi, yet as it is one's own destiny, it comes past without expectation. The opportunity to have Sai's darshan came and resulted in immense joy for him. Man proposes, but God disposes. One cannot do anything against destiny. Listen to that with a quiet mind. A number of people left their homes, having decided to go to Shirdi by train, traveling happily together. When they boarded the train, they unexpectedly met that Pant, who was already in it. Pant came to know their plans about going to Shirdi. Amongst the group were some friends of Pant and also the mother-in-law and father-in-law of his child. Though Pant had no intention to go to Shirdi, they pressed him to go along. Initially, Pant also had the ticket for the destination he had in mind, but later he changed his mind. As the friends and father in law asked him to go with them to Shirdi, Pant agreed to their persuasion, though he had no desire. Pant got down at Virar while the rest of the group continued to Bombay. Pant borrowed some money for the expenses and went to Bombay. As he did not want to displease his friends, he obtained permission from his own guru and then came to Shirdi along with all the others happily. All went to the masjid at 11 in the morning. Seeing the crowd of devotees offering worship, they felt happy. Seeing Baba's meditative figures, all were filled with joy. Suddenly, Pant got a fit and felt unconscious. There was no movement and his limbs and he seemed impaired. Those who had accompanied him was very worried and frightened. With sighs, grace and help of others, on sprinkling water on his head, he regained full consciousness. On gaining consciousness, he sat up bewildered, and it seemed as if he had just woken up from sleep. Baba, being omnipresent, knew that he was a disciple of another guru and assured him fearlessness and confirmed that his faith in his own guru. He said, "Come what may, leave not your bolster, support, which is the guru. Remain steady always, always at one ment with him." Pant realized the significance of the words and he was reminded of his own guru. Throughout and the rest of his life, he remembered Sai Baba's kindness. Similarly, a gentleman called Harishchandra, resident of Bombay, was greatly troubled on the account of his son who suffered from epilepsy. He tried many allopathic and Ayurvedic doctors, but there was no cure. All efforts went in vain. There was only one remedy to resort to the sadhus and sons. In 1910, Das Ganu's Kirtan started to spread and fame of Shri Sai Nath. A large number of people took to visiting Shirdi. Though a tiny village, it had great destiny. Shirdi became another Pandharpur, and many pilgrims visited it. Many people experienced that sickness was cured by mere darshan or the touch of Baba's hand or his merciful glance. The devotee, having surrendered completely, obtained welfare. Knowing that everybody's minds, Baba fulfilled the desires of all. People hurried and to visit him as evil spirits fled at the touch of the Udi. Blessings cured diseases, and a kind glance from his eyes pushed away all obstacles. Having heard of such a greatness from Kirtans and the books of Das Ganu, from the one mouth to another, the desire arose in Harishchandra Pitale. Pitale came to Shirdi village, bringing family and children, presents and fruits for the darshan due to the merits of his past birth. The son was placed at Baba's feet and prostrated before Baba. Then something extraordinary happened, which very much disturbed Pithale. No sooner than the boy's eyes met Sai, the boy became unconscious, rolled up his eyes, and fell down all of a sudden. The parents became frantically worried. The boy fell unconscious on the ground. A lot of froth came out of his mouth. The parents were greatly disturbed and wondered what was their fortune. It seemed as if there was no breath. The froth continued from the mouth, and the whole body was soaked with perspiration, and there seemed no hope of life. These fits had happened frequently to the boy, but never had there been one of this intensity or duration. An attack of this kind had never happened before and would never happen again. It was as if he was about to die. The mother was unable to control the flow of tears, seeing the condition of the child. With what purpose did we come here and what has happened? The remedy had aggravated the condition. These feet, Sainathas, have proven ruinous. All our troubles in coming here have been in vain. Coming Coming here has been like running into a house to escape the pursuit of thieves, only to have the house collapse over the head. The lady said, our condition is like that of a cow running away from a tiger to save her life, only to run into the hands of a butcher. Or a traveler tormented by the heat of the sun who takes refuge under a tree which uproots and falls upon him. Or having faith in God, one goes to the temple which itself collapses on one's body. Similar is this case. Baba then assured them, have a little courage and patience. Pick up the boy carefully. He will regain consciousness. Take the boy to your lodging, and in about half an hour he will return to life. Do not be unnecessarily flurried. So be it. Later, they acted accordingly, and Baba's words came true. Pittale and his family rejoiced, and all their doubts disappeared. On being taken to the Vada, the young boy came immediately to his senses. The worry of the parents disappeared. There were a lot of joy. Then Pittale came with his wife for Baba's darshan and performed eightfold salutation with great humility. Seeing the son's recovery, he sat pressing Baba's feet with mind full of gratitude and happiness. Baba asked with a smile, have the waves of doubt and the desire ebbed now? Sri Hari will protect him who has faith and patience. Pittale was wealthy man from birth. He came from a good and a well-known family. He lavishly distributed sweets and dry fruits and even offered fruits, bitter leaves, etc. to Baba. His wife was of a very sattvic nature, loving, having faith and devotion. She would sit near the pillar and gaze at Baba. As she gazed, her eyes would be filled with tears. She did this daily. Seeing her novel way of showing affection, Baba was won over by her. Saints are like God. They are ever ready at the service of the devotees. They are very gracious to those who worship them wholeheartedly. May it be whatsoever. Then this family then this family desired to leave. They came to the masjid for a darshan and took Baba's permission and the Udi and made preparations to leave. At that time, Baba took out 3 rupees from his pocket and called Pittale close to him. Hear what he said. Babu, earlier I had given you 2 rupees. Add these three to them and worship them. You will be benefited. Pittale took those rupees in his hands and accepted them with joy as prasad. He prostrated at Baba's feet and said, grant me with your grace, Maharaja. Waves of thoughts arose in his mind. This is my first visit. So, what is it that Baba is saying? I definitely am not able to understand. As I had not seen Baba earlier, how could he have given me 2 rupees earlier? He could not at all understand the meaning of the advice. Pittale was bewildered. How do I get the meaning of what is explained? His curiosity increased. Baba did not give any indication and remained silent. Any words spoken by the saints, however casually, are bound to prove true. Pittale was fully aware of this, so he was puzzled. But later, when he went to Bombay and his home, there was an old woman at home who satisfied his curiosity. The old woman was Pittale's mother. When she inquired about what transpired in Shirdi, at a matter of course, the topic about the 3 rupees propped up. Even she was unable to correlate it. After thinking it over, she remembered that the old lady said to Pittale, now I recall completely what Baba said is true. As you took your son now to Shirdi for Sai's darshan, similarly your father had earlier taken you to Akalkot. The Maharaj there was a Siddha, benevolent, very famous, omnipresent, yogi, and very wise. Your father was also a very moral man. He accepted your father's worship, and the Yogi Raja was pleased with it. As Prasad, he gave him 2 rupees in order to perform puja. There Though these earlier 2 rupees to Swami gave to you, my son, as prasad in order to worship. These 2 rupees were kept in the shrine, and your father daily worshipped them with great faith. I alone know about his faith. He acted according to his faith. After his death, the puja and the articles for performing it became the children's playthings. There is no faith in God, and even shame was felt to do puja. The children were appointed in turns to do puja. Who would take care of the rupees? Many years passed thus. The importance of those rupees were lost. All memory of them faded away. The 2 rupees disappeared. So be it. You are really blessed. Not only have you met Maharaj in the form of Sai to remind you of a forgotten duty, but to ward off dangers. Therefore, from now onwards, leave off all doubts and bad thoughts. Follow the footsteps of your ancestors and do not slip into bad habits. Go and worship the rupees. Consider the saint's prasad as a jewel. Samartha Sai had convinced you of the significance received in the life of Bhakti. Hearing this story from the mother, Pittale was full of bliss and joy. He realized Sai's all pervasiveness and the significance of his darshan. The nectar of his mother's was awakened his former feelings. He repented and atoned, paving the way for his future welfare. So be it. Whatever had to happen, happened. The saint had awakened him the future obligations. Gratefully and conscientiously, he carried out his duties. Similarly, I will narrate another experience. Listen to it with a quiet mind. It shows the method adopted by Baba to control undisciplined devotees. Gopal Narayan Ambedkar was a great devotee of Baba from Pune. Listen to his story. He was in the service in the excise department of a British regime. After completing service for 10 years, he left it and stayed at home. Fortune changed and turned it back to him. All the days of one's life are not the same. The stars rotated and brought a bad spell. Who is there and who can avoid these changes? In the beginning, he was in service in Thane district, and later it, his luck brought him to Jawahar, where he was an officer. It was there and he became jobless. To regain the job was not easy. Where could he get it again? He tried his level best at that time, but he did not succeed. So he decided to follow an independent trade. But here too troubles beset him until he finally lost all hope. Year after year, his financial condition worsened till the rock bottom. Calamities followed one after the other, and the household condition became unbearable. 7 years passed this way. Each year he went to Shirdi and related his grievances to Baba, imploring him with prostrations day and night. In 1916, he was so utterly disgusted that he felt like committing suicide after going to Shirdi. So this time he stayed for 2 months at Shirdi with his wife. Listen to the story of what happened one night. While sitting in a bullock cart in front of Dikshit Vada, Ambedkar was in deep thoughts. Fed up with life and very depressed, he thought, enough now, no more of this trouble. He lost all desires to live. Thinking thus and having lost interest in life, Ambedkar got ready to throw himself immediately into the well, availing of the quiet time when there would be nobody around. I will carry on my purpose and rid myself of all troubles. He knew that committing suicide was great, yet he determined to act upon his thought. But Baba Sai, being a puppeteer, he averted this folly. At a very short distance, there was the residence of a hotel owner who was also Baba's support. Being one of the persons who served Baba, Sadgun came to the threshold of his house at that time and asked Ambedkar, have you ever read this book on the life of Akalkot Maharaj? Let me see. What is that book? Saying that, Ambedkar took in his hand, turning the pages at random. He began to read here and there. But by wonderful coincidence, the subject which he came across was worthy and it related to his inner thoughts. He was deeply impressed. I will relate for all the listeners the story that he came across by chance, giving the sum and substance of the story very briefly for fear of lengthening this book. There was a great saint, Akalkot Maharaj, used to be absorbed in meditation. A devotee who was grievously ill was undergoing unbearable suffering. He had served for a long time, hoping to get rid of the disease. He was unable to bear the pain anymore. He became very dejected. He was determined to commit suicide and choosing a time at night, going to a well, he threw himself in it. Maharaj came there at that time and pulled him out with his own hands. Whatever is destined has to be fully borne, he advised him. All physical tribulations, diseases, even leprosy, and all other problems which we have because of our actions in our previous birth, unless they are fully born, we cannot be free from them. Even by committing suicide, if this suffering remains unfinished, you will have to be born again. Therefore, try to bear with the trouble a little longer. Do not kill yourself. Reading this story, which was apt for the occasion, Ambedkar was surprised and felt ashamed on the spot. Understanding Baba's all pervasiveness, Ambedkar realized that the fate due to the previous birth must be endured. He was made to understand this at the right time, and it was good that he had not attempted the reckless deed. This illustrative story was like a voice from the outer space. It strengthened his faith at Sai's feet. Sai's deeds are unimaginable. Sai's warning guided through Sagun's word. If if there had been some delay in getting this unexpected book, my life would have been ruined. I would have lost my own life and would have caused utter destruction of the family. My wife would have to undergo a lot of suffering, and I would not have achieved my own good nor attained my spiritual goal. Baba inspired Shagun and made the book an instrument to divert his mind from committing suicide. If such an incident had not occurred, the poor man would have unnecessarily lost his life. But where there is the savior like Sai, who would be able to kill? This devotee's father had faith in Akkalkot Swami. Baba made him understand that he should follow his father's footsteps. So be it. Later, everything was well. Those days passed. He studied astrology, putting in lots of efforts, and that was rewarding. He got Sai's grace and blessings. Fortune smiled upon him. Later on, he became well versed in astrology, and his earlier adverse circumstances ended. His love for the Guru increased, and he achieved happiness and health. He had ease and happiness in family life. He became very happy. There are innumerable such miracles, each one greater than the other. But lest this book is lengthened, I have confined myself to the essence. Hemant surrenders at Sai's feet. The next chapter narrates the interesting story of how Shama was presented with the gift of Vishnu Sahasranama. I do not want it. I do not want it, said Shama. But Baba had immense love for him. He forcibly gave him the Sahasranama by ascribing its wonderful greatness. Now listen to this story with respectful attention. Baba will be seen granting grace when the time is ripe to the devotee who had not the slightest desire. It will be seen in the chapter how inexpressible are the ways of granting grace in Sadhguru's abode. Listeners should hear it with respect. He who is the highest form of well being is that Sai, the store of all attributes. He is fortunate who hears about him and speaks of his glories behind an act of religious merit, his life being purifying. May there be well being. This is the end of the 26th chapter of Shri Sai Satcharithra, written by the devotee Hemat Pant, impelled by saints and virtuous people, called Prevention of Epilepsy and Suicide and Stabilization of Faith at one's own Guru's feet. This is offered to Shri Sadguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness. Om Sai Ram. Let us do the Aarti. Shri Sachidananda Satguru Sainath Maharaj ki jai. Shirdi माझे पंढरपूर साई बाबा रमावर बाबा रमावर साई बाबा रमावर शुद्ध भक्ती चंद्रभागा भाव पुंडली जागा पुंडली जागा भाव पुंडली जागा याऊ याऊ अवघे जन परा बाबा श्रीवंदन साई श्रीवंदन परा बाबा श्रीवंदन तनु बने बाबा साई धाव पाव माझे आई पाव माझे आई धाव पाव माझे आई बनेलो तांगन बने गचरना तोयाती पाइन रूपर तुझे प्रेमीन रंगीन अनंत पूजिम भवेव मा इन बने नमा त्वमेव माता पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु सदा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या दैरङ्गमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव पायर्नु मा चापसनिर्मा मुद्याकना वा पतन स्वभाव नरोमि यद्यं सकलं तरस्मै नारायणाय समर्पयामि अच्युतं केशवं राम नारायणं कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं हरे केशवं माधवं गोपिका विल्लवं जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे श्री गुरुदेव दत्त सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. Om Sai Ram. I urge all the listeners to read one chapter daily of the Sai Satcharithra and soak in Baba bliss. Baba bless you. Om Sai Ram.